Welcome to another weekly stock market update. Today is October 27, 2019. The S&P 500 last week floated with its all-time high, and the Nasdaq 100 closed new all-time closing high. Before I begin, I'd like to ask you to click the thumbs up if you like the contents in this video. And if you are not a subscriber on my YouTube channel, click the subscribe and the notification icon so you won't miss any future video from me. Now, the market is floating with the all-time high on the S&P 500. As you can see, it's putting up a little bit of a triple top here. And the all-time high is 3,027.98. And then last week, the high was 3,027.39. So that's just a little bit over half a point away from the all-time high. So right now, we're also looking at the 10-week moving average and the 40-week moving average. It is still sloping up, so the longer-term trend is still pointing up. And the same thing, I have this megaphone channel here, and it is in the upper portion of this channel. So the coming week, what should we expect the S&P 500 to do? Well, it seems like it is floating with this all-time high, and the chances are it's going to tag that all-time high. The real question is then what? Right? Would it continue to head higher, or would it finally give the market participant what they wanted is the all-time high, and then get all the silent people to come back into the market, and that's where they trap them and reverse them. So let's take a look at the daily chart here. Remember last week we were talking about the possibility of a pullback if we see this the S&P 500 drop below the 29.92 and unable to hold above that. Then we basically are looking for a pullback into this gap and fill this gap and possibly come down and test the 29.39. And if it is able to hold above the 29.92.63, then we're essentially looking for this pivot high to get taken out. If that is taken out, then the all-time high will be in play, and that is exactly where it's at right now. What I did is I essentially put in this swing here. The major move 100% would be 3220.99. So somewhere, it's above 3200, right? And then I also have these various Fibonacci extension level here. These are the scenario. Let's go through the scenario. Possibly come up, break above to a new all-time high, come back in, and then back test and break out again to a higher high, right? Because we also have this trend line here that we're looking at. Okay, so the other possibility is that it break above, look above and fail. So it come down and then back test and it fail. Then we could come down and see this trend line get tested and get this gap fill, and then continue to move down to the 2834.97 level. Okay. Then the other possibility is that it will basically just come down, fill this gap, pop this trend line, and then move back up. Okay, and then break out to a new all-time high. Those are the three primary scenarios that I'll be watching for the coming days or weeks to see how the S&P 500 will act when it flew with this all-time high and break this all-time high. And we take a look at the ES, the S&P E-mini future. See this right here. This is the gap that we're looking at. And again, it shy of hitting this 3,029.50, the all-time high here, just by a tag. So again, basically just like the cash index, those scenario, we're essentially looking for the scenario, and for this gap, is it pull back or break out of this new high. Looking at the S&P ETF, the SPY, see that here we essentially looking for this gap to get filled, because here's this balance area, right? The last 4-month balance area. Again, if it break above the 302.63, the new all-time high, then we're basically looking for a retracement back and see how it would react when it get back to back test this 302.63. And if it comes down, we're basically looking for this gap here. Once again, we're still on the lookout for this gap to get filled at 294.22, and also this particular trend line here for a possible support. Then, again, if we see a look above and fail, then we're essentially looking for a retracement down to this lower end of this balance zone. And the Nasdaq 100 actually cleared the all-time high here, the 8027.18. It actually closed at a new all-time high. And last week it closed at 8029.22. So it is a couple point above the all-time high there. And looking at the daily chart here, we essentially was also just like the SP 500. We were looking for a possible pullback last week. If it dipped below the 78.21.72, we're looking for this gap to get filled. But if it stay above the 78.21.72, we're essentially looking for this pivot to get taken out. Then the all-time high is in play. So again, we basically saw that scenario play itself out. So now it's a matter of continue to move up and then come back and back test and then surge up higher, or would it be move up and fail to get back above the all-time high and then start retracing back, just like the SP 500. We got this balance zone here for the last 4 months, and if it get a look above and fail, then there is a good probability that it will retrace back to the lower end of this balance area. Looking at the NQ, the Nasdaq 100 E-mini future, see here is this gap here. We're still waiting for this thing to possibly get tested and fill at 77.8225. Last week we're essentially looking for that possibility if a pullback occur, but if it stay above this FMOC 78.78, we're saying then we expect to see this pivot high get taken out, then the all-time high is in play. Now the E-mini future did not close at a new all-time high. Here the close is 80.5175, and it closed at 80.3475. And also even on the intraday, the high is only 80.4125, and the all-time intraday high is sitting at 80.5175. So once again, we're basically looking to see would it be able to break above that, come back test, and then surge higher, or will break and then come back and fail, and then basically do a look above and fail, or essentially just come down and fill this gap, find support at this trend line, and then move back up. And for the QQQ, the ETF for the Nasdaq 100, see this gap is still open, and we're still waiting for this gap to get filled. And then once again, it did close at a new all-time high, close above the 195.55. The prior all-time high closed at 195.64. So we'll basically keep an eye out and see how high would this thing go. Would it continue to surge on a pullback, or would it come back and fail, come down and fill this gap, or trace back down to that 179.20, or find some support at this trend line here and get a bounce and break out to a new high. So those are the two indexes, the Nasdaq and the SP 500. Now let's go and take a look at the crude oil and the gold market. So crude oil got a nice bounce last week. We're essentially saying is we are watching this 54.75. It get above this 54.75, then we expect to look for this gap to get filled somewhere up at 56.86. So you can see that it is coming up to try to fill this gap. We'll see will it be able to move above this gap and make its way up to this 59.24, or will it get back and come back down and retest this at 54.75. Look at the gold market. You can see that gold market is, the gold is actually broke out of this trend line and came back in. Remember there was one scenario, well, there was a couple scenarios that I was watching. I was waiting for this thing to pull back beneath this 1450 and maybe get a little bit of a bounce off of this retracement zone here. Then I'd be looking for a swing long setup to swing it back up to this 1562.80. Or if it breaks out this trend line, then I'm essentially looking for this thing to get above this high volume area and possibly get above this this pivot high here, then on a pullback, essentially for this thing to break out, and get a little pullback, then I'd be looking for a long setup on the pullback from the breakout and play it back up to this 1562.80. So you can see right now, it seems like it is trying to break out, but it still haven't gone away, break out from this high volume zone yet. If it break out, then I'll be looking for this thing to come back and retest this area. Then that's where I might look for the swing long setup to play it up back this 1562.80, right? But if it come down and fail to come back up above the 1494.60, then I'll be looking to for the gold to come back down and retest this 1450. Then maybe that scenario that I've been waiting for to come down into this zone, this high volume zone here, might finally materialize. So we'll see how this thing play out. Right now, it seems like gold is trying to make its way, and maybe this is the area that it actually try to make a directional move, right? Because we're also seeing this 50-day moving averages turning down. So with that in mind, just be cautious. Although a lot of people might be a little bit anxious and get bullish on gold. Good luck on your trading. Thank you for watching.